Doubling customer count is the next area. I don't know if any of you read my article on tearing down the walls with the 7 exceptional strategies to retention-proof to double your customer count. But I mean, I'm not boasting. It's just the fact that, hey, on Dealer Elite, which is Chris Saraceno's program, and 700 people are on it, and I've got more views on that one article than I've ever had on anything else. But the point behind it, tearing down walls, is do you have them in your dealership? And do they need to be torn down? Because I believe that consumers and other people in your dealership know there's walls exist, Paul. Okay, and they're physical barriers, but they're also conceptual barriers, aren't they? Those conceptual barriers that customers have, or someone else in your dealership, I can't go back there to service. I can't go into that parts department. I need to stay away from this. They're separate. The consumers come in and buy a car. They're almost kept away from other departments. God bless you. My point simply is that is there something that we can do, okay, to make certain that we tear down the walls that exist? And we were having a conversation earlier, but I just share with you, and I share in the article, the fact that if we don't have retention, okay, upwards of 50% or more, then you got walls up. So we have to bring those walls down. Consumer changing habits is another article that I posted, and I just want to share a couple things out of this because I think this is important for you to know. But the article was titled, "The Fast-Changing Retail Reality of Adapt or Die. Which are you doing?" And here are just a couple of quotes, and I'll tell you who they're from. "The next 5 years will bring more change to retail than the last 100 years, says the CEO of ShopTip. The next 5 years will bring more change to the retail world than the last 100. Next quote. "Within 10 years, let's get this right, within 10 years, retail as we know it today will be unrecognizable." So says Kevin Stemperk of Gardner Analyst. I happen to believe these two statements, okay? Because I'm going to share something with you in a little bit I think may alarm you. Because our world's changing, we've got to be ready for it. We've got to be able to do some things here that we're not doing now. Okay? So then the whole thing also with the consumer changing habits was the fact that another part of the article was talk about the stack ranking of employees. Listen to this, because this is another quote. "According to surveys of high-performing companies by the Institute," this is a quote, "by the Institute for Corporate Productivity, only 14% of businesses used forced ranking, down from 49% just 2 years ago."
What ranking?
Is that forced ranking? Now, I think we're in a forced ranking still, aren't we, in our industry? We go into our sales meetings and we're ranking everybody all the time. We rank everybody in service. I'm just saying to you, I'm not telling you to change, but I'm thinking, still going back to a teaching dealership, doubling customer count, we're not doing it as one. Can we do it as 2 or 3 or 4? Is the whole opportunity I'm trying to throw against you here, because do we have a customer retention deficit disorder in our business world? I'm going to come up with some numbers here, in another slide, but, is there a customer retention deficit disorder? And it disappears, as we get into it in a minute, when we have a bottom-up, pulls-up opportunity to run after. I've talked with some people already that have better retention than this. I have to defend the number, because I've used this number before of 20% retention. At NADA 2011, Joe Berti handed me his book, okay, and asked me to read it. And I did. And I don't know whether anyone ever read the book, but it's how to earn $100,000 selling cars every year, okay? And in the book, he actually takes his statistics, and they come from his 5,000, as he said in the book, dealerships he trains in the United States of America. It's only just this country now. And of that, his quote is, "We have 20% retention from sales to service, and less than that from service back to sales, as an average in the United States of America." Anything close to that? You have a challenge to that statement of Joe Berti's book? Okay. So my point is, what would happen in an effort if we double retention? 20 to 40, 40 to 60 is triple. So I guess my question is one of, can we face the facts that business as usual isn't going to get it done? Now, I say that, by at least trying to prepare you for the fact that, would you all agree that today, our business is still based on, sales business is still based, maybe even service business, is still based on an up system? They show up. Okay? We still have a lot in service. I don't know about you, but I go into dealerships and I still see, I look at their sheets, and their sheets are still a day or two out. Why aren't they a month or two out? It should be. Okay? So my point simply is, if we're going to be doing the same thing over and over again, because I think one of the speakers even brought this up, we know the definition of deciding it. But always, if there's always going to be a movement away from something, there's got to be a movement towards something else. And this is where I'm going here with you, to try to get you to start to give consideration to something bigger. Here's a lot of numbers at you here, but I wanted to give you an example, okay, of what can happen in a specific dealership that just sells an average of 50 a month, new and used retail. That's all we're talking about. And all we're seeing in that next line is an 8% improvement in the first month. It's all we would try to do in a very consistent, systematic approach of team synergy, okay? And try to grow that thing once we do it with, see, because it may not happen with everyone in your dealership, but maybe 4, 5, 6 of them would say, I want to be in on this. The doers may want to be in on this. And they get on that program. Others start building up on that from there. But all we're saying is over a 7-month period, okay, what you see is, well, they're now at 78, which equals a 56% improvement. That's what I really want you to remember as we go through a couple slides here. But to do that number took 112 additional customer count. So that's doubling customer count from 50 to 112 in 7 months. If we continue the same improvement, for 12 months, where someone actually doubled their sales growing that way, look what it took. 312 additional customers that we're keeping. The whole effort here is not on those numbers, the whole effort's on these numbers. Because if we're doing this right, the whole idea is to try to keep them. We want to win the customers and keep them, and put the programs in place to keep them coming back. So just an example, so you can get that energy going for you. And here's the same, in the same dealership, let's say they're writing 500 customer pay a month, okay, with the same type of growth. Some of you may look at sales and say, well, that seems pretty easy. Some of you look at service and say, that ain't so easy. Because obviously that could require, another shift. It could require, obviously, more text we don't have space for, whatever it is, okay? But the fact is, can we do that in a very systematic approach in team synergy? That's the idea. So obviously, I want to just share what could possibly be a return on team synergy investment to put that kind of effort in your dealership. The numbers of $2,500 a copy and $150 a copy in gross profit are all detailed in the book, if you want a copy of the book, okay? That's free on my site. And so it's all about return on investment. I just put up there a $21,000 investment because we're talking about human synergy here. So it's not like we're trying to go out there and put some crazy system in there like we used to do when I was in performance training, taking a percent of gross profit improvement for years. So what could benefit doubling customer count? Well, you got ongoing people in a team synergy effort, ongoing growth, and maybe we go from in your dealership, let's say a 20-80 to a 40-60. That's a huge, huge deal. We were talking about this. This is a huge deal. 60-40. You see the next one, and that's in the article I was talking about. Quit selling. Okay? Because they quit selling, now they professionally advise together, helping a customer learn, do what they really want them to do. Teach them how to buy from you. Okay? The hardcore selling is going away. So they buy more and more often. Obviously, then the income and everything goes up from there. Let's get to retention proof. I don't know. I can't answer this question, but I'm assuming all of you would agree that you've never heard of anyone speak about retention proofing anything, because if anyone was going to go online right now and just Google retention proof, why am I the only person in the world talking about it? Okay? I don't understand that. Okay? But I just bring up the example. Do you waterproof your house? You waterproof your business, Paul? Okay? Anybody have a family? Kids? Yeah. Let me ask you, do you retention-proof your household, your family? Are they connected? Are they in synergy together? You guys are a family, united? You're retention-proof, aren't you? You're not going anywhere. They're not putting on you. You're not putting on them, are you? Well, why wouldn't you do the same thing in your own business? That's the point I try to make with that picture. So I ask you, I'm putting out there, you can share feedback here, you know, I mean, this is easy. Could that be your dealership mission? 100% retention. Humbly targeting the overcharged and underserved. Paul, let me ask you a question. Okay? I believe that all those people...
I'm sorry, you're talking retention. You're talking about the employee retention, or you're talking about customer?
That's great. That's a great question, isn't it? Which drives which?
Well, I believe employee retention will drive customer retention.
Well, I believe customer retention and a synergy plan will drive the employee retention, because this is what we were talking about earlier. Okay? I think it's going to be both. I don't know which is going to be the driver, but I can tell you this. When you got some doers doing this in synergy, okay, and customers are saying, I love it, I'm coming back, guess what happens to the people? They love it and coming back. So I just take it back to that hospital experience. I looked those techs in the eyes when they were being edified, put on that pedestal. No way they could come down from that pedestal. They loved it up there. Somebody put them up on that pedestal. How many times have you been out in public with, you know, you put that child of yours on a pedestal? My child has done this. You're not even talking to the child. You're talking to this, my child has done this. I'm very proud of him for that. You know, you take them and put them up on that pedestal. It's like, my goodness gracious, my dad's so proud of me. We wait for those kinds of moments all our lives, don't we? You know? But I'm saying, don't you think your customers truly want those moments? Well, there they are. You know? So why can't we focus on an overpromise, on under-promise, over-deliver? You know, by can we undercharge and overserve? Well, heck, I don't know how many times we've taught the same thing in dealership service departments, right? But when we're giving out price, what do we tell? What do we tell a pro? We always add 10%, right? And we get that to that, you know, because we always want to sell the next appointment. So we get them to that cashier. Oh, by the way, the bill was $310, but we were able to save you $29.30. It's only going to be this today, Mr. Smith. I've had people hug people for that. They were expecting that plus. So could we still undercharge and still get everything we were supposed to get? So the whole point is that can we create the atmosphere that we can and will win everyone as best we can over? It may not happen that first time, but it's all about continuously trying to give everyone what they want. I love this picture of the world in one's eye. It says, I as one must decrease, we are one must increase. So here's a vision. Can this be a vision for your dealership to radically, ethically, tangibly, so improve the life of one another in and around your business, in your retail experience, that the world of one and all becomes better for it. That's all we're trying to do. I mean, I just happen to be 100% against incremental growth. And I'm not trying to criticize here, but we all saw, if anybody was in with Grant, okay, and he put that slide up about his one dealership growth, only lasted a month, and look how it died. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's incremental growth, incremental decline. Why can't we have that curve that we had in that prior slide? Working that, constantly working, keeping those customers coming back, okay? And forget incremental, let's play radical. Let's radically grow something the right way. So I put the face up there. I don't know if any of you ever looked up Joe Girard, know about him or anything. He's still alive. He's 84 years of age, goes around the world still speaking, okay? But I bring it up, I put him up here, not because of his record, which, you know, I state in my book, I think will be broken, but it's not going to be broken the way he did it, okay? I mean, he became number one only selling Chevrolet cars. If you don't know this, Chevrolet cars, never sold a truck. He never sold a used, never sold a fleet, never sold a wholesale. Never, ever, ever took a nut. That was the point of his hiring, being hired. I want my customer to be able to take, just give me a desk and a phone. I'll do my own thing. So he put all his effort in the first year. Everything else just kept going. But in all his books and in all his speeches, I've not really heard the real secret. But I know the real secret. And I want to share with you why he was able in that first year to do what he did, and it continued to flow. Because he took his techs and his advisors out to dinner once a month. And because of that, he never had a customer come into service that didn't have a conversation with Joe Wiegand. So when Joe has these opportunities, this is a connection point. This is synergy. This is back in the 60s and 70s, people, when Joe did this in Detroit. Okay? So, but that is a key secret in his. He didn't have what we had today with the internet. He just wrote cards and letters and made phone calls. But imagine now what we can do if we had sales and service work so cohesively together, okay, for this one customer. Doesn't matter if it's a service customer or a sales customer, doesn't matter. But we have 2 or 3 people working together to give them the satisfaction, to give them the validation and transparency. Enough that they would say, I'm not leaving, I'm never going anywhere else but here. Now, I don't know if anybody knows this. A couple of you, I know, Butch, would know this. But I'm going to go back to 70s, okay, when I got into business. And I can tell you, our franchise dealer base was twice as high as it is today. On par and equal numbers with what we had in shops outside of dealerships. But yet today, the aftermarket out numbers are 7-1. And everybody's complaining we're over-dealing. I'm saying, no, we're not. We're not retention-proof, we're not recession-proof. We've given the business away. They never took anything. You have to appreciate it. This is probably one of the greatest growth franchises ever, the aftermarket, right? But the fact is, they didn't take nothing. We gave it to them because we didn't keep them. We chose not to. Now I'm saying to you, we don't have a choice. Somebody's going to get hurt from this game. Okay? So you got a choice. Are you going to let yourself continue to get hurt, or are you going to continue to, are you going to do something about it and try to do something to get these customers to stick and stay with you? Fair enough? So you heard Grant say something about this, and I'm not bashful about it. Okay? What happened in 2008 was just the start of something, people. Okay? I don't know when the world's going to collapse, but you look at everything around the world. Is there a possibility? I mean, depending on what you read, forget what you listen to on TV, forget about it, because that's all on one side. But the fact is, understand, what would happen if we had a collapse in 30% of our business? Well, if that, economic collapse, if this, you're still this, in other words, on that example, 56% improvement still leaves you at 26% ahead. Somebody's going to be winning here in something that's down. And I want to share with you, expect something to be down in the next few years sometime. $16 trillion? I mean, the world's is actually trying, I mean, Russia, China, they're trying to get the US dollar all out of the world currency right now. What happens if that happens? This. How do we protect ourselves? This. I mean, it's not like we're all going to go away, but there's going to be an economic decline. I believe that. I don't know when. Because I just know that, how do we sustain ourselves with this kind of debt, and we have no means of paying it off as a country. So, is this not, your job? You're here with me today for reasons, okay? So I'm just saying, what if you don't retention-proof your business? Then what? Okay? So, I think you have a responsibility, you do have a serious responsibility, working in dealerships, owning dealerships, being part of a group of an organization, that you need to make sure it's around, okay, during these times. And, a recession-proof business equals 100% of service absorption. A retention-proof business is trying to double where you are today. You're still standing through it all as a benefit, a solid business, a solid team, a solid community. Because this is what's going to happen in some of an economic collapse. The community is going to come together and surround itself with the people who are still there and still being of service to that community. And I I don't know the Sansone Group right now. I know Hutchison a long time. My point is, they are very giving in the community. I don't know too many dealerships that aren't very giving, right? And well, you know, what happens when you give, continue giving, and those people that are out there thank you and appreciate you? Okay, so the more we do it, the more we're able to be around. So the sum of all team synergy doers of business in oneness is still working so cohesively together that the sum of all individuals work, producing far greater results than the sum of all individual efforts combined to our dream of achieving. So I guess I'm asking, you know, I don't need your answer. I'm asking you to consider it just for yourself. Are you in on something here yet where you're trying to look at this and say, I can see this, ourselves trying to become a team, a teaching dealership. To, you know, I can see the idea of trying to double customer count through a teamwork effort and trying to retention-proof a business. So that leads to a synergy dealership. I have some quotes just to give you an idea here, but the first one up top is, I as one again must decrease, we are one must increase. That's the foundation, the cornerstone of which any dealership, I think, of the future needs to look upon and say, you know, we have to be the one as a unit for that foundation. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit, Aristotle said. And the next one, hope works in these ways. It looks for the good in people instead of harping on the worst. It discovers what can be done instead of grumbling about what cannot. It regards problems, large or small, as opportunities. It pushes ahead when it could be easy to quit. It lights the candle instead of cursing the darkness. I like what Dr. Martin Luther King once said. He said, everyone can be great because everyone can serve. Okay? That tech, those techs in that hospital working together, okay, were great. You've got people out in your dealerships that are detail people. You've got lot boys, lot girls. You've got techs. You've got general managers. Okay? You know, who's the greatest of them all? The idea is that can we help the doers of business, those people that are in the action with customers, everyone, can we make them the best, help them become the best example of themselves for what they're doing today? Because they may be doing it for 4 or 5 years. 10 or 15 years, 20 or 30 years. The whole idea is that you've heard people all day. David at lunch was saying, about how we actually separate people. Well, I'm not saying to you that you necessarily should go and do that. Let them do it, because I think there's going to be 2 groups of people in your business in a program like this. It's going to be either the doers or the laggers. You know, laggers, okay, are sometimes people that just are critical enough to say, I want, remember that old Mikey cereal commercial? Let Mikey try it, Well, they may be just saying, let those people try this first. It's okay. They may come in. But the whole point is, the lagger is that if those laggers are the ones pointing fingers, look at our own country, there's a lot of people pointing fingers at certain things, Those people, they may be the ones that love these entitlement type things. The whole point I make here is that we have got to start doing something and trying to unify this in our dealership to where we let doers free to really grow a business. I say that in all humility because I believe, and you've got to think about this, but I believe that within the next 5 years, the up system that we live on today will be a thing of history. Because you look at these things.